Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks everyone for being here for our presentation on the SharePoint calendar solution. And we'll go ahead and begin. Okay, I'm Will Cooper. I am a SharePoint solutions developer. I do a lot of things in the Microsoft 365 space. I also run a YouTube channel called SharePoint Smart. You can find that on YouTube if you just search for SharePoint Smart. And I put all kinds of educational, informational videos on that channel about awesome things you can do in SharePoint. And additional to that, I run the SharePoint Dashboards platform, which is a data visualization tool you can use to create visually appealing SharePoint dashboards. And of course, I eat and breathe everything related to InfoWise Ultimate Forms. I've been using it for more than 10 years. I've built hundreds of solutions for various different customers using these tools. It's awesome. I love it. And it's right at the heart of everything I do in SharePoint. Our team is all about making things simple and easy to do, and we want to always improve our tools. So that's something that we pride ourselves on. Ultimate Forms is a comprehensive solutions platform for SharePoint and allows you to build solutions with no code, so no programming or configuration codes required. And you can do that entirely in the SharePoint user interface. You don't have to go into some separate platform or anywhere else. Once you've added it, it's baked right in. So we're going to go through our presentation today, and at the end, I'm going to do a drawing for a free InfoWise shirt that's for residents inside the United States. And then afterwards, for those who can stay, we'll have a bonus presentation, if you will, on some interesting templates in SharePoint Dashboards. So that will be after our main presentation. Just a couple of ground rules. Although you guys are on mute, it does not mean that we don't want to hear from you. In fact, we do. And the way you can do that is through the questions interface in the GoToWebinar. So please do post your questions and comments during the presentation. Please be patient. It may take some time to get to it, but I will make sure that all those questions are answered before the end. So that's how you can reach out to us. And then after the presentation, if you want to set up a meeting or anything like that through the InfoWise website, you can, of course, request a demo meeting and we'll get on a call with you so we can talk face-to-face. So those are some of the ground rules so that you can participate as I go through this solution. With that, we can go ahead and get started. Okay. Ultimate Forms is available both for SharePoint Online and also for on-premise SharePoint. So regardless of which SharePoint version you're using, it is available to you. I'm going to be demonstrating a solution built in SharePoint Online today. So out of the box, SharePoint has some challenges. Of course, there's a lot of possibilities in the platform, but there's some limitations as well, and it can be confusing or overly difficult to do some basic things that you might want to do. So we're limited when it comes to the out-of-the-box tools. And that's the reason why it makes a huge difference to be able to add in the tools that you need. So Ultimate Forms gives you that. It gives you the ability in SharePoint to build out full business solutions directly in your SharePoint interface, and it overcomes those limitations by giving you lots of awesome extra tools. Let's get to the target of our presentation, which is calendar solutions. This is always something that's interested me, I think because of the challenge. Inherently, there's some challenges in terms of what we deal with when displaying time and date related information and calendar views. And yet it's something that we all need. It's essential to communicate when events are happening and keep everybody coordinated, dealing with due dates, all that type of thing. So this is a very important topic. We're going to talk about some key concepts, some things that we want to make sure that we achieve in terms of thinking about a shared calendar solution for the employees in an organization. Clearly, it should be easy to use. So the user interface plays into that quite a bit. We want to make sure that however those events are added or updated, that it's not complicated. Anybody can interact with that. And for the most part, that it's self-explanatory. So that's got to be a key part of the solution. We want to make sure that the form itself is simple to work with, but also provides us the flexibility and options to do all the different types of things we want to do with calendar events. And I'll show you in our presentation how you can, in fact, set up this form to look however you want. We want to be able to have the ability for event highlighting. I've seen some recent posts in regard to the out-of-the-box calendar coming from Microsoft, where people are excited you can now add, color highlights. There's some limitations on that, and really that's something we're going to talk about right at the beginning of the presentation. There is an out-of-the-box calendar view available to you in SharePoint. However, there are some frustrating limits to that, and in many ways, because of that, it ends up not being a great solution for what you might want to do with the calendar and with your events. We want to have the ability to see all that detailed information, but of course there's a real estate issue. You can only get so much packed into a calendar view, so then the question becomes, well then what's the best way to do that? And with this calendar, when you hover over the events, you get all of that detailed information. So it's a way to accommodate, but still keep that nice, clean view when you're not looking at individual events. So that's definitely a key feature to be able to display information that way. Email notifications are important. I have a challenge in my job. I have lots of meetings with customers and prospective customers, and as I'm sure all of us have experienced, it's frustrating when somebody misses the meeting. And oftentimes, it's because they're locked in with something else, they're distracted, and they didn't get a reminder about that. One thing you cannot do automatically with out-of-the-box SharePoint is easily set up a calendar reminder for, or an email reminder for calendar events. In this solution, I'm going to show you that that's baked right in. You can include it, and you can allow your users to check a box or put their name in a field, and they'll then automatically get email reminders. So that's definitely important. Reoccurring events. So that's also an additional challenge. In some cases, of course, we have repeats of events. You may have something going on weekly or monthly or some type of thing like that. So we need to have a mechanism to be able to create those reoccurring events, and it shouldn't be very complicated to do that. With out of the box, you cannot do that in any easy way, but I'll show you how we facilitate the user in this solution. Searching for events. Naturally, if that calendar has lots and lots of events going on, it may not be obvious where something is. And so we need an alternative way to look for that. So having a search tool is important. We want to incorporate that as part of the solution as an option for somebody who's just not sure what an event is, but they know it's out there somewhere. Categories are important. This has to do with the color coding of the events. So you may have different types of events. There's training events. There may be all company events. There may be events that are related to a specific team. And that's where the color coding can come in handy on a calendar. Additional to that, we want to be able to use something like this category to be able to filter. Obviously, we all have different types of shared calendars and we want to filter to different views. We want to make sure we have a nice looking formatted list view dashboard. So you'll notice that the list view dashboard that I show you looks nothing like the standard plain vanilla out of the box SharePoint list view. We've done some formatting to dress things up, make it look a bit more visually appealing to users. We want to have some polish there. Also, additional to the color formatting, we may want to have certain icons, certain things to help particular events stand out. And incorporate into this, we have a way to incorporate that as well. This is optional per event. You can add that if you want to, but it's just another way to make the events look a little more eye-catching and provide some visual indication of what type of events are going on. All right, so I'm going to be going through, this is using the Ultimate Forms functionality. At the end, we'll talk more about this, but this is something that you can try for free through the InfoWise website. So we'll come back and circle back to that later. All right, so here we go. We're going to start by going to the out-of-the-box SharePoint calendar because we want to have some context to understand why it is that we're doing some of the things we're doing. All right, so in any SharePoint list, there is an option where you can create a view. If I go here to a view, as long as I have some date information in a list, I can go to create new view, and then one of your options is calendar. That's the SharePoint calendar. Very, very simple setup, which is good and bad. It's easy to get it going, but then when you want to add options, you're not going to be able to find what you want. It just asks me, okay, well, what's the start and end date columns? And that's about it. Once you do that, it creates a view, and then here you go. So at first glance, there's nothing, nothing wrong with this. It's just a typical month view calendar and that type of thing. And the functionality is pretty self-explanatory. So in terms of using it, it's simple, and that's a very good thing. I can click new, and it's going to open up the default SharePoint side panel form. I fill in some information and it stacks up here. Now, what is not necessarily so great is in terms of the real estate. Notice in this example for today, I have 3 events, and it overflows the UI almost immediately. If I have more than 2, then immediately it says this plus 2 more. Well, I can see it on the side panel. That's okay, but as I'm paging through this, I'm not going to see this. I'm going to see a lot of plus 2 more, plus 7 more, that type of thing. So the way that's handled isn't great. Another issue is the fact that I don't have that hover functionality that I might like to have. I don't have category filtering. I also don't have the ability to view this in different ways. I'm looking at a month view calendar, but I don't, I don't have different kind of ways to do that. Now, as I mentioned, they did add a functionality depending on content and the title. You could potentially do some color formatting. I don't have forms customization on this. I don't have email reminders on it, not automatically. Now, I could, if I'm a Power Automate developer, build a flow for that. That's going to be time consuming, and you need to have somebody with technical knowledge to do that, not an efficient way to add email notifications. And it's certainly not a self-service user model where they can do it. So for the most part, what you see is what you get with the SharePoint out-of-the-box calendar. So in a very simple situation where you just need to spit something out quickly and not a lot of people are going to use it, that may be okay. But as you can tell, it's limited in features. All right, so with that in mind, let's talk about our calendar solution. I'm going to start by going through from a user perspective. I'm going to demonstrate some of the features and functionality to show you what this calendar solution does. And then after I've done that, I'm going to show you how you can actually customize it, configure it yourself using our tools to make it work however you want it to work in your organization. All right, so first of all, let's just look at our events list. I just have a handful of events in here. Like I said, right away you can see that this is looking different than the out-of-the-box calendar. We've got some visualizations for the date, and we've got some color coding for the events, that type of thing. Notice I can use this icon picker to choose an icon just to show next to the event. So right from the list view, I can modify that. Then if I click on this edit button, it'll take me right into the form. So let's start by modifying an existing event. Notice that the icon appears right next to the title and the header. So basically, really simple to understand concepts. So I've got the title for the event, and then below that, I've got all my detailed information. I've got a visual editor tool in here. So if I want to do some formatting, I can do that easily. I can just come over here and do whatever I need to do. Everybody's worked with this kind of a tool. So I can get as much of that granular detail about the event that I need to. And then below here, optionally, I can include the location. Then we've got the start and end times. So if it's just, sort of an on-timed event or spanning multiple days, you don't have to indicate the time. It's automatically going to understand if this is, 12 a.m., that it's just a daily event. And then here's the categories we're talking about. So here's the company event, And then this is the icon picker. You can go ahead and set it from this view as well. Now additional, I can go ahead and put attendees on this event. I don't have to do that, but I can add them. And the benefit of this will be that they're automatically going to get email notifications as reminders as the event's upcoming. So that will avoid the scenario that I just described where, my person just forgot to show up. They got distracted. They're going to get an email notice right before that event just to make sure they do that. Additionally, they can check a box. If the user checks the box says, I want to be reminded, they can opt into it, and that will automatically create a notification for anybody who checks that box, even if they're not on the attendees list. So hopefully you would agree that's a pretty simple and easy to use form. So that's a list view of the calendar. And then, of course, additionally, we've got the calendar view. Okay, so recall just a moment ago, I was showing you the out-of-the-box calendar and some of the limitations there. So let's talk about what's different with the Ultimate Forms with its calendar web part. All right, so first of all, we've got the hover functionality. Remember that I didn't have that when I was using the out-of-the-box calendar. I'd have to drill down into it to get into those details. Now, what's cool is, I'll show you later, you can customize which fields show on the hover. So you can select particular ones and even change the sequence, that type of thing. So I could potentially have lots and lots of events in this calendar, and I don't have it overwhelming the interface because all of that detail information is in the hover. And then, as you might expect, if I click on the event, it will take me directly to the view form, and then I can edit from there. So there's that tight connection between those two things. Now, right at the top, this was missing on the out-of-the-box calendar. We've got that filter control. Okay, notice I've got a sales event. Maybe I'm on the sales team. I just want to check the sales event. That's done through that category. So that's connected together. And if I pick sales, it'll filter off those events. As I'm sure all of us have experienced, some calendars can get really busy, especially when we're thinking of this concept of a company calendar, and it can be very cluttered. It's overwhelming, right? So especially as there accumulates more and more events, this category filter is critical. It gives me a way to just focus in on the things that I care about. And then obviously I can just navigate the months by clicking back and forth in the navigation here. Now the different views are important. We've already seen two essential views. We've seen a list view, and then also we've seen this calendar view. Additional to that, you've got other ways to look at this data information. So I've got the daily view if I want to go through that way. Let's get to where we got an event. Okay, so this is on that event, it's on time. All right, so on. Okay, and then additional to that, we've got week views. So here's like a business week view. Notice it's Monday through Friday. Right next to that, I have the 7-day view. That's Sunday through Saturday. Okay, and then there's the month view, and something that I see people searching for a lot, Gantt view. This is not a part of out-of-the-box SharePoint, but here it is. So this lets you see a stack view. This is especially useful in a situation where you have events spanning multiple days. Maybe you're looking at the start and end of various projects and you want to compare those. This is going to list everything out that spans that time frame. So if you'll notice, it's showing by week, and it's going across there. But I can even adjust the Gantt view. Notice I can change it to quarter, half year, year. So there's lots of flexibility and options to view your event information. So that versatility is really key. It's filling in those gaps. It's providing you the features that you don't otherwise have. So that's really important for your users. Now, additionally, I mentioned we want to provide the ability for your users to be able to find events easily. So simple interface, that's what we emphasize, right? So I know there's a launch event coming up, but I just can't remember when it is. Maybe this calendar's already got hundreds of different events and items on it. I just need to find it. I just know it's a launch event, and all I have to do as a user, I just type that text, hit enter, and it's going to search across all that, and I've got the list view. And then what I can do is I can actually double click into that and it'll open the event for me. Okay, so there I am right in the form. Now, let's talk about reoccurring events, because that comes up. Obviously, if you have something reoccurring, maybe it's 4 weeks in a row, I don't want to have to manually retype or re-enter all that information in the form, right? I just want to be able to say, yeah, I need this to happen again the next week, okay? So with the Ultimate Forms functionality, I can tap into some workflow related options. So there's a note in the form that says to copy the event, click Run Actions, Copy Event option. Okay, so that's something custom we've got set up here. So I do Run Actions and Copy Event. And then I can come in here and let's just say I'm going to copy this to August 4th and say that time, and then we'll have it go to 2 o'clock. I'm just picking something arbitrarily here. Okay, so do 2 p.m. Okay, so I've given it the instructions, basically said, this is recurring, so I just am having it copied. So it just kicks off a little workflow, and that's going to make that event copy over to that date for me. So replicating events is important to us. We want to be able to have a way to do that with the least amount of interaction for the user as possible. So this is going to go ahead and copy that event. We'll go into August and we're going to see exactly how that works. The interface gives me a little success message when that's all done. So I can go ahead and close this, and you'll see that all the information from that original event is going to be there, but it's going to have the date and time that I picked. There's our copied event of the alpha product launch. Okay, so that type of functionality, of course, is going to be key. All right, let's go ahead and get into how some of the configuration works, because I'm sure you're curious about that. What I'm demonstrating to you is just the way that I configured it, but you have lots of flexibility, and that's really a key aspect to it, because every one of us has our own preferences in terms of how we want things to look, how we want the calendar to behave, or based on that situation. For a particular calendar, you may want to do things a little bit differently. Once you've got the app installed, as I mentioned, you can get this for free to trial it for 30 days. Once that's in your site, you can add the solution that I'm showing. That's something I didn't mention. At the end of the presentation today, I'm going to save this whole site as a template. It's going to be available to you after the webinar. You can download it, install it, and use the exact same thing that I'm showing you during the presentation today. So you can get this solution for free as a part of the tools if you pick that up. So you can try this out for yourself. Okay, so once that's there, you have new options that show up in the interface. So in the command bar at the top, notice this design button. That goes to the main Ultimate Forms settings screen. And of course, we're focused on the event calendar. There's a whole big toolbox of all kinds of different things I can do. And I created this event calendar. I just want to show you how simple it was for me to set that up. This is a web part that's on a page. And so this is the configuration for it. I say the configuration. They're drop-down menus and choices, radio buttons, checkboxes, stuff like that. So nothing fancy, no coding required. So I came in here, I said, I want the default view to be a month view, and then I just need to give it some information about which options I want. This is good because I can turn things on or off according to my own preferences. I just told it which list this is tied to, and then what to show for the title column, start, end date, location, etc. And then here's those hover details that I mentioned. You can control the sequence of that, which columns to show, that type of thing. And then, of course, I turned on the allow categories and pointed it to that. So I basically can just turn it on and off these various different features according to my own preferences. So I did that. And then there's, just some things you can turn on or off in the display. Generally, I've got all these things showing up. Remember I was telling you about how in the Microsoft calendar, I got to 3 events, and then all of a sudden it says plus 2 more. It's immediately hiding events. This is letting you be in control of that. So this is going to allow for up to 6 events, but you could increase or decrease that. So rather than just having to take what you get with no option to you, you can take control of that. You can make subtle adjustments and do different things to get it to be just exactly the way that you want it to be. So these are little subtle changes, features that you can turn off, on or off, or adjust in the interface, but just through simple checkboxes, sliders, radio buttons, stuff like that. So very easy to work with. Let's talk about the form. This is, in my opinion, one of the most awesome parts about Ultimate Forms. I would hope so. It's called Ultimate Forms. It's the Form Designer tool. This form I created, you can configure it to be however you want. You basically are using containers and dragging your columns and controls inside of those containers. And you can do things like multi-column layouts and that type of thing. Changing the appearance of it is really straightforward. I can do things like adjust the styles. Maybe I don't want green anymore. If I want to do, or I don't want blue, I'm going to do a light green. I just go like that, hit save, boom. Now it's a green background. So instead of having to do CSS or special styling, I can just do things like go to these pickers and make little adjustments like this, and it just changes, and what you see is what you get. So I tend to really like this tool. It's a lot faster than any other alternatives that I've seen. Okay, so that's styling the form. And then, as I mentioned, you've got these containers. So, some fields are narrow, some are, you want to have lots of real estate to enter information. So in this case, I know these columns are narrow. I just took this container. Instead of having these giant columns or widths stacked up, that wouldn't make any sense. I can adjust it, and it's exactly what you see. And then you can bake in user instructions. So I added some notes in here. It's to tell the user what to do so that they don't have to go to some manual or any training thing to figure things out. The instructions for what to do are directly right there in the form. So I was able to just type in some text. I did some things like, added an email icon in here, that type of thing. So you can bake in those instructions so people understand how to use the interface. This is the email reminder tool. This is automatic. When they check the box, that individual user, there's going to be an alert added just for that person. So it's self-service. Rather than you having to create that for them, they just check the box, and that's how that's going to work. So the form designer is really cool. So you can manipulate, you can download and install this solution, which we'll have available for you later today, and you can manipulate it to be however you want. Yes, I don't want to have those changes. When you do have the tools installed, what you're going to do once your trial is set up, or if you're already an Ultimate Forms customer, you just go to the Install Business Solutions. There's 2 tabs here. Sometimes that's not totally obvious, but by default, it's on the Solutions one. You need to go to the webinars. This is where we load all these. You see the one from last month, which is vacation tracking, which is related to what we're doing today. You're going to see a new one for our SharePoint calendar solution showing right in the spot I highlighted. And it's really easy. Once you go in there, what I recommend, you just create a blank SharePoint team site, and then you just, click the button, hit install, and it's going to copy all that stuff into your site, and that's it. It's really, really easy to do. Okay, so I just want to make sure you guys knew how to do that. Okay, now email configuration, I mentioned that a little bit. I just want to talk to you about how easy that is to set up, because you may have different preferences about that as well. Now, what I might say is, all right, for the attendees, I want to set it up so, anybody who's on that attendees list on events, I want them to get an email an hour before the event. I want to show you how simple that is, because without these tools, I'd have to go into Power Automate and set that up. And I know how to do that because I'm a SharePoint developer and I build out these solutions. But even knowing how to do that, it's time consuming for me. It's not very efficient. This is pretty efficient. I'm going to show you right now. So all I have to do, I've got this option that says Add Alert. And this is for this specific list. So I'm going to say reminder 1 hour before. Okay, so I just work my way through the tabs. And what I can do is have it go to the people who are in the attendees column. Okay, that's a multi-select people field. Okay, so they're going to get an email. And then I'm going to change it. So what I'm doing is according to the date in the start. Okay, makes sense, right? So I'm saying, you know what, 30 minutes before this date, that date time value, that's when I want an email to go out. So every time across all those list items, 30 minutes for the date, it's automatically going to do that for me. So at that point, all you have to do is configure the email content. Okay, so this is a visual editor tool, so much better than what I have to deal with in Power Automate. And then I can create these templates, right? I can do formatting, I can insert field values. In this case, it would be something really simple, right? I would just be saying, um, you know, your event starts in half an hour, you know, and then I can put a link to the event, all that type of thing. I check that box, I can reference to that, hit save, and that's it. That's all I have to do to set that up, and that will work for all the events ongoing. So there's two kinds of email alerts going on there. There's one where I'm defining that. Maybe I want to have a couple of different rules like that. Maybe I want them to know the day before and then also an hour before. Whatever, that's up to you. You can configure that. I just want to show you how easy. And then we have the user opt-in as well, as I mentioned. They're going to be able to just check this box, hit save, and then it's going to auto-generate an email for them for that event. So it's putting it in their hands. I certainly know I've experienced many times where people get annoyed if you're bombarding them with automatic email notifications. So letting them control that on a user by user basis could be a lot better solution and situation for you. All right. So the thing I really want to emphasize to you is how easy it is for you to try this out. So if you haven't used Ultimate Forms before, you definitely want to go to the InfoWiseSolutions.com site. You just click on Try Now for free, click on Install, and then pick which version of SharePoint. And within a matter of minutes, you'll have that available. And then once you do, you're going to have the ability to go into this design screen and go to the business solutions, webinars, and you'll be able to download exactly what I showed today. Try it out for yourself. Okay, so that's important. Let's go ahead and do a drawing for a shirt, and then we're going to do questions. I'm going to try to answer and address your individual questions. What I need from you guys is the number 1 to 100, and I'm going to give you about 15 seconds, and then I'm going to pick out a winner. This is for people living in the United States, just for shipping reasons. So go ahead and put that in the questions interface now. Go quick. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. We've got a winner, and that is Darlene Gonerman. Darlene, send me an email to willc@infowisesolutions.com. That's WILLC@infowisesolutions.com. I need your shirt size and I need your mailing address, and I'll get that out to you today. Let's get to your questions. I'm looking through the interface right now, so let me take a look. Let's see. Email alerts to event owners. Whoa, there's a lot of in that question. I think we already covered the email alerts in detail there, so I kind of showed you how that is. This is from Venu. You may want to just go ahead and send me an email because I think there's about 5 or 6 questions, and I have a lot of questions about your questions. Let me go on to the next one. Okay, some of these have already been answered, but I'll just double check this. Yeah, you can aggregate events onto a calendar. So you've got different ways to do that. Can you add to the event calendar? Yes, there's a special action behind the scenes with Ultimate Forms that's outside of the scope of our demonstration today. But you can tap into that and it can automatically record a calendar event in Exchange. That's a great question. That would be an additional feature that you can add. That functionality is in Actions. Can you have multiple filters? Yep. As answered by my team member, you can do it by data source or by category. And then also you can use the search tool that I demonstrated. You can do filter searches and have multiple options to filter down those events. The view size, generally it's built to show based on the screen size. Yeah, that's totally configurable through the calendar configuration settings. So just go in there, you can tweak those and adjust. And, as you make those adjustments, you can see how that's going to work out until it looks exactly the way you want. These tools are available per site collection. My teammates answered some of these. I'm just reading through some of the questions in the chat just to see if I have any additional comments like that. All right. So as far as the different views on the calendar, yeah, that's just something that the user would respond to. So you point them to the calendar page and then they can toggle to the different ones. All right. I think we covered most of that. I'm not sure what you mean by the calendar overlays, Darlene. You can send an additional question on that or just put it in the email and I'll try to answer there. I'll post my email in the interface. 1 second. There you go. All right. So that pretty much covers everything we're demonstrating with the calendar presentation. I want to give you guys just a minute here. If you have additional questions other than what I addressed, a couple of folks that mentioned might need to send an email because they're a bit more specific, kind of outside of the scope of some of the things I was showing today. But any other general questions about using the Ultimate Forms calendar? So mention what you want to do is go ahead and make sure you have the Ultimate Forms app. And then at that point, you can go into those business solutions. You'll be able to download that. That'll be up today along with the recording of our presentation, which we'll have posted onto our YouTube channel. Christy, the pricing information is in the InfoWise site. You just need to go to InfoWiseSolutions.com and then just click on pricing, and that should help you out. The other thing, you should go ahead and sign up for a demo if you want to get on a web meeting with us just to answer questions about specific things you want to do in your own organization. Okay, all right, we're going to go on to the next part. Good questions. I really appreciate it. I see you guys are locked in and interested in setting up these cool calendars, so that's very good. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, I also work on another SharePoint platform, which is SharePoint Dashboards.com. Some of you folks know of that or use it or have heard of this before. This is something you could use in addition to Ultimate Forms to further your user interface and provide visualization. Some of the things, in fact, that you saw today are templates that were used from this tool. So what this allows you to do is a lot of different things. There's templates for charting and indicators, KPIs, buttons. You'd seen, for example, the icon picker. That's directly from the list view if you want to change the icon that way. And then we had some things with date formatting and that type of thing. This is all about improving the visualization in your SharePoint pages to create a better user experience. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit about how that works. Like Ultimate Forms, you can try this for free. There's a sign up in here when you show up, and you just click on the green Get Started button and just click on where it says Start Free. There's 20 free templates in there. And then if you decide to get the full product, there's a subscription option, which is $29 a month to get access to all of the templates. There's a total of more than 100 templates currently. So I'm going to get into how this works a little bit. This all uses column and list view formatting, but like Ultimate Forms, you do not have to write any custom code at all. You just do configuration settings. You just pick from drop-downs, checkboxes, just like with Ultimate Forms. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of those just so you have an understanding of how that works. So you might have noticed, for example, the date formatting that was set up. Here's the date formatting template. So in any of the templates, when you click on it, it'll drop you into a view that gives you a preview of what you can do. And at that point, the first thing you should do is check out, there's a theme selector. You can see some different options. This one just takes that out of the box date, which is plain vanilla that you get in SharePoint. You can dress it up a little bit. You can give it a border, a background color, and additionally, you can format it. Maybe I don't want to see the date formatted a particular way. If I want to see, just the date, or I want to say, DEC, like for December instead of, 12/31. I've got all these different date options here. So I can configure that. And then I can configure the look and feel by just going to things like this drop-down picker. And as I'm making those adjustments, I can see it change real time. So whatever I see in here is exactly what I'm going to get over in that. So all I have to do to apply the template is go to the column header, format the column, and then I can go to this view and paste. And that's all there is to it. In fact, let's go ahead and do one real quick. All right, let's change the background color just so you know that I'm actually getting the new template from here. I'll give it a light green background. We'll do a curved border and try to look to see if there's anything else I want to adjust. Okay, that's good. Oh, whoops, I'm not signed in. Hold on a second. Now I am. Okay, let's do that one more time. Okay, light green, curved border. Let's make the font size a little smaller. Okay, so I made that size. So I just hit copy. It tells you what to do in the pop-up box, right? So this gives you the instructions. This will help you out, especially the first time you use it. But all that I have to do is come over here, and as I say, I just do column settings, format this column, and then it's a paste. So I just select that and hit save, and then immediately it'll update. Now this one, you can actually grab the handle on the column to adjust the width to make it work. But you can see this now has the template. Now, when I first do that, if I want to tweak that, maybe I say, oh, that looks pretty good, but I want to tweak it. I want to do the border slightly different or something like that. All I got to do is come over here and I say, oh, I want to do whatever. I want to do a red border color for whatever reason. I can just make little adjustments to it, just hit copy again. And while that window is still open, I can just continue to tweak it, adjust it, until it looks just exactly the way I want. So, now it has the red border. Okay, and then all these other things like this thing where I'm picking the icon in the interface, that is another template that's set up. The edit button, that's a free one. So if you sign up for a free sign up, that'll give you, a free edit button. There's also a view button. There's a bunch of free ones in there that you can just take advantage of. So that's kind of cool. So it's all about, being able to have a cool visual interface. Just to speak on some of the other ones that are in there, like I say, there's lots of charting options. These are the different buttons. If you're curious which ones are free, you can see little pills next to them. So the ones that are free have a little green pill next to them. And then also there's lots of videos that are tutorials that tell you and demonstrate how it works. So if this feels really new, you haven't worked with this formatting, you can just click on the green tutorial button and it'll show you on a video somebody going through and applying that specific template. So for most of the templates, there's actually video demonstrations of that. So there's really simple, easy ones to get started with, like the edit button, the view button, date formatting, that type of thing. But you can ramp up and do some pretty incredible stuff. If you scroll through these templates, you're going to see examples of things that you probably have never seen before in SharePoint. You can do cool things with images, image slideshow, rollover image, shadow box. Those are some of the image ones. Really interesting things with mapping. You can do things that tap into like the Google Maps API, and you can even do things with Google Street View and things like that. So those are very cool. It's a way to make your SharePoint interface look really distinct and interesting. This one's showing a pushpin map. according to, different options you have in here. And just like all the other ones, I can, customize the backgrounds to make it look however I want. But it's just really cool templates to tap into. So in all cases, you can click into this even without the product. If you just want to see what it does, if you're curious, how these work, you can still, adjust the configurations and do different things with it just to see what it's going to look like as you're considering that. And it's pay as you go monthly. So you can just get signed up for the subscription, but if use it for a month or two and you've got what you want or you don't want to continue with it, you can just stop. So you don't have to make a significant commitment to do that. So once again, all that you need to do is just go to the SharePointDashboards.com site, click Get Started, click on Free. It'll ask for your name and email. It'll shoot you an email with your login information, and then at that point, you've got 20 of the templates free that you can start using. And if you like it, you can tap into the other 81 templates. Do you guys have any questions about SharePoint Dashboards? SharePoint Dashboards is for SharePoint Online only. And that's because of some limitations with the Microsoft API for on-premise. It does not have all the options available in SharePoint Online currently. So this is for you SharePoint Online folks. Template editor be included in SharePoint. That doesn't have to do with our calendar solution. Eric, you may want to just email me separately on that since that's not related to what we're looking at today. Unless you're using a term different. I'm not sure what you mean when you say template editor. How does this compare to Power BI? Roy, I would say these are at opposite ends of the spectrum. Power BI can cost you thousands of dollars a month. This could cost you $29 a month. This is something you do directly in SharePoint. Power BI, you need to go into a separate platform. This is something that's, that's available and useful by all users. Power BI would tend to be used by a developer. You need somebody with technical expertise to do that. Power BI, you're going to be charged for every user who views those dashboards, which makes it quite expensive. In this case, you only need a license for the people who are creating the dashboards. There's lots of differences between these two. It would be easiest for you to understand that by just trialing the product and starting to use it. And I think you'll start to see that there's a huge difference between these two things. What other questions you guys got? If you stop the subscription, what happens to the calendars in use? All of your list data would stay there, Connie, but for the Ultimate Forms tool, this would be for people who are going to have an ongoing subscription. So your list data would stay intact, but that functionality would be disabled until you decided to renew that. So I would recommend, as you're considering this would be something where you're going to maintain a subscription to Ultimate Forms. Again, that pricing information is in here. We do provide free email support to all users in your SharePoint environment if you have any issues or errors with those tools. But I do want to emphasize this is a very deep and comprehensive tool set to build full business solutions. So we looked at the calendar solution today, but there is a vast amount of things you can build with these tools. So it's definitely an investment that can make a huge impact on your organization. The styling editor in SharePointDashboards.com. No, it's a separate product, Eric. This is something that I run with that. To my benefit, the InfoWise team, they allow me the opportunity to talk about this, but it is an independent product. So that's a good question. That's something that I own and develop and manage myself. Can you tie it to Ultimate Forms? Well, you can use them both together, and that's exactly what I demonstrated today. So in the solution I showed you, this formatting, this came from my product, the icon, the edit button, date formatting, and that's used in combination with. So all you do is apply the templates as I just demonstrated, and you can use them both together. So it's not, like I say, they're two independent things, but they work side by side. So it's to your benefit to have both. In terms of styling for Ultimate Forms, that was demonstrated through the design tool. Basically, you just go in here, and for each of the controls or elements in the form, you can come in here and you click on the Style Configuration Editor, and you can do that all through that. So it's not like using CSS. You won't, in most cases, you don't apply classes or things like that. Now, there is the ability to do that if you need to, but typically you do it through the styling. There is a style editor. You could set up a global style configuration if you want to. That's a bit of a more advanced concept. Initially, you just use the style controls. Okay, guys, I think we're just about ready to wrap up. I really appreciate everybody staying on, especially for the extra information. Hopefully, you guys got some great ideas here. These are awesome tools to tap into, both Ultimate Forms and additionally the SharePoint Dashboards templates. And you can get started for free with both of them today. I am going to make this video available on YouTube later today, as well as upload a template so you can try out the calendar solution that I demonstrated. And outside of that, if you guys have additional questions about this, you can go ahead and go to the InfoWise site and click on our demo sign up. Just click request a demo. We'll schedule a meeting with you and we can talk one-on-one, and we'll certainly be happy to do that. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining today, and hope you have a good rest of your week.